Hello everyone. Today you will dive into the very crucial Python concept of OOP, that is Access Modifier. Hi, this is Krupali from KnowHow Academy. So let's start learning with me. Before going ahead, let me tell you what you are going to learn in this video. In this video, you will learn why there is a need of Access Modifier using real life scenario. Second, what is access modifier? Third, what different types of access modifier support in Python object-oriented programming? Last but not the least, practical implementation of access modifier using Python code. So let's start. So first of all, let's understand why there is a need of access modifier using real life scenario. Imagine you have a diary. In that diary, you are writing your thoughts and ideas, but you don't want anyone to read your diary. What you will do for that? So for that, you will hide diary somewhere so no one can read that. And you have another diary where you are also writing motivational quotes and your review about any products. So whatever you have written inside that diary, you are allowed to allow someone to read that. So you will keep that diary somewhere so every people or any other people can access that. So we can say that one of your diary is hidden and your other diary you are allowed someone to read that. So in same way, when you are writing a code, you want that only that function can access the code and no other function can access this code. So you will store this code in a private manner. And some code is there in your programming where every function can read or every function can access that code. So here access modifier comes to the picture. So I hope you understand why there is a need of access modifier. So in summary, I can say that access modifier is required to hide something as well as what you want to keep it as a public. So access modifier will help in that. So now next question is that exactly what is access modifier in Python? In Python, with the help of access modifier, you can allow your object-oriented program to keep some code private, to keep some attributes or method public and protected. So technically, access modifier is a keyword which will control the visibility of a class and its member and its method. So technically, that is access modifier. Now you may have a question. What different types of access modifiers are there in Python? So in Python, with respect to object-oriented concept, there are three different types of access modifier. The first one is a public access modifier. The second one is a protected access modifier, and the third one is private access modifier. Now again, one question comes to the picture that how practical implementation of access modifier is possible in Python OOP. So don't worry, you will learn how you can practically implement access modifier using Python in OOP. So as I told you, there are three types of access modifier: public, private and protected. Now, what is the meaning of public access modifier? What is the meaning of private access modifier? And what is the meaning of protected access modifier? So let's implement practically. So let me tell you based on which scenario I am giving an example of access modifier. So let me explain you the scenario. Let's say you have one class. The name of a class is bank. Now you want some of the attribute of a class that is private. So no object can access this attribute. And some of the attribute you want to keep it public. So every other objects can access it. So let me first create that. So first of all, let me create a program. And let me write a code for creating a class. And let's say I'm creating bank class. Now in bank class, I am creating one constructor which will assign values inside that. So let's say here I am writing init, and this constructor, I don't want that it should be passed, but I want to write some value. So here I will write self.name, or you can say self.account holder name. So you can write name, sorry, not name error, but in small case you can write it. And here, as you know that we can pass the value as a parameter from the main program. So first of all, I have created a class and which has one attribute name. Now let's create one second attribute, let's say balance, and third attribute, let's say PIN number. Okay. Now when you create an attribute with self.name, so that attribute name is considered it as a public attribute. What is the meaning of that? When you create an object of the class, that object can also access the attribute. Let me show you practically. So let me create one object obj1 equal to bank, and I am passing the value. Let's say here account holder name is Krupali and balance, let's say 10k, and let's say PIN is ABC. Okay. Now when I want to print the balance, or you can say name, so what I can do, I can write print, and as you know that name has an access modifier public by default, so you can access that name using object dot and the name of the attribute, and it will print. And here let me assign balance also, self balance, and let's say self. So let me print only the name. So you can access the name attribute of a bank class using the object of the bank class. So let me save that and run it. So here you can see that name is printed. But how can I make this name attribute private? So for that you need to write here double underscore before the attribute. So it is indicating that this name attribute is a private. So what is the meaning of private access modifier? The meaning of private access modifier is that only class and class method can access that attribute. Class object and derived class cannot access this attribute. So let me show you. So let's say here in same program, when I try to print name using the object of class and which is private, let's see what happened. Let me run. So here you can see that bank object has no attribute name. Why? The reason is that you try to access the private access modifier using the class object. Now still if you write underscore underscore name, then see what happened. Here you will get an error that bank object has no attribute name. That means that name you cannot access using an object. So that is the meaning of private access modifier. Now if you listened properly, I told that derived class cannot access. Now question comes to the picture, what is derived class? So don't worry, that is a part of inheritance. So I will create video on inheritance, then you will get an idea. But till now, just remember that a private access modifier, or you can say private attribute, cannot accessed by the object of the class. The last access modifier is protected. Now what is the meaning of protected access modifier? Protected access modifier means the variable, or you can say attribute, which is declared as a protected, only derived class can access that attribute and class object can access the attribute. Definitely class method can also access that attribute. So let me show you first how you can create protected access modifier. If you want to create protected access modifier, you need to write one underscore before the attribute name. So let's say here I am writing one underscore before the balance. variable, or you can say balance attribute. So now here we can say that balance is an attribute which is considered it as a protected. Now, as you know that only derived class and class object and class method can access that. But here I did not explain you what is inheritance. So I will show you how derived class can access protected attribute in upcoming videos. Now let me show you how object can access that attribute. So for that you need to write print. Okay, you can write, no need to print every time, but just for your understanding I am writing obj dot underscore balance. Let me put this in a comment, save it and run it. So you can see that 10k is printed. So class object can access that. Now as you know that private data member cannot access that. So if I run this, if I uncomment it and run this, here error will come. Now you have a question then, so how class can access private access modifier? So for that you need to create one method inside a class, and you can give any method. You can create n number of method, but right now I am creating one method and I am just writing a print data method which will print the data, or you can say attribute value. So let's say if I want to print underscore underscore name, this way you need to write self dot underscore underscore name, then you can print it. So let me remove that, and using that method you can access the name attribute. So how you can call the class method? So using the object, let's say ob1 dot print data, and if you write empty bracket, and let's see what happened. So let's run it, and so you can see that now name, which is private, still you will able to print it. But how you print it? Using a class method you can print it. Now class method has also access modifier. So by default when you write a class method like this, the default visibility or default access modifier of this method is public. So object can access that. Now let's create one method which is private. So here let me write def underscore underscore print underscore data, and let me just write print statement inside that self, and here I need to pass self. Okay, then self dot underscore underscore name, then I am printing the protected attribute. So self underscore balance, and I want to print pin. Right now pin is public, but in real life pin of the bank account cannot be public, but just for your understanding I have declared this. So let me just write self dot pin. So I have created this. Now let's create first class object, save it and run it. So here there is no error. Now I want to access the underscore underscore print data method using object. So let me write ob1 dot underscore underscore print data, and it is not accepting any argument other than self. So let me clear this and run it. So here you will see an error. Why there is an error? The reason is that private method of the class cannot access by the object of the class. Now what if I want to access this print data method? So you need to create one method inside a class, and using that method you can access private method of the class. So let me create one method. Let's say method 1, and here I am not writing anything, and here from this I am calling print data. Obviously you need to pass self. Why? Because for that class you need to call that. So print data and empty bracket, and here using the object we will call method 1. Now let's see what will happen. So here you can see that this method 1, which is a method of a class, can access the private method of the same class, and private method of a same class can also access private data member, protected data member, and public data member. Now here at the end of this video, I want to give you an advice that don't use protected data member with the object. Why? Because it is not good programming practice for that. Protected data member basically useful when we are performing inheritance in our Python object-oriented programming. Don't worry, I will teach you what is inheritance, why there is a need of inheritance, and how you can access protected data member using inheritance concept. So I hope you get an idea how you can perform practical implementation of access modifier in Python object-oriented programming. Now let's summarize what you have learned in this video. In this video, you have learned why there is a need of access modifier in OOP using real life scenario, what is access modifier, different types of access modifier in Python, in OOP, and practical implementation of access modifier. Thank you for choosing KnowHow Academy as a source of your IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate to the tech world. If you have any question, do not feel hesitate to reach out us. Stay curious, keep learning.